Welcome back to another episode of Life After Sunday.
Welcome back.
If you haven't already, however you listen to us, give us a 5-star review. It would greatly help out the show. Leave us a comment, tell us what you think. And today we're going to talk about quite a bit, but our main thing is going to be all this crazy turmoil going on in the world. You got Russia and Ukraine, you got Christians being persecuted, you got everything going on in the Middle East.
And the drone strike on the Russian aircraft was, that's awesome. We're going to talk about that.
All the persecution, terrorism, where is God and what do we do? That's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, we talk about them hogs, baby.
Talk about hogs and just the awesome beginning of the College World Series.
Yeah, the beginning of the NCAA tournament, the regionals. By the time this come out, the Super Regional will be over. But the Super Regionals were this past weekend, and to me, it blew March Madness out of the water.
It really did, because you had more number one seeds get knocked out or at least tie the record, and they're losing to teams that they're not supposed to. I mean, major upsets.
Shout out Little Rock Trojans.
And I don't think the casual person who watches baseball, just like when the College World Series comes on, understands what a big deal it was. Little Rock had lost like 20 games in a row.
Losing record on the season.
It was atrocious. Like Arkansas run ruled them twice.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went into their conference tournament and got hot, started winning.
And they were actually, I think in one, I'm probably going to butcher this, but in one of their conference tournament games, they put up like 20 runs.
Yeah, this is this would never happen in college football. But it happened in baseball. We're talking about the team that should not be able to step on the same field as LSU walked into Alex Box Stadium.
The box.
And pushed them to a 3-game series. And was in the game until about halfway through. They just ran out of pitching.
Yeah, they won game 2, and they jumped out or won game 1. They took an early lead in game 2, 5-1. Looks like they were in control of that game for a while, like you said, until they ran out of pitching.
And the LSU fans left.
Yes.
I mean, it was like a ghost town. But that's the amazing thing about baseball, right?
Yes.
Like this is
the people's sport, man.
Yeah, it's just such an you will never see a small team like Little Rock come up and beat Alabama and then go into the playoffs and make a 3-game run.
No.
It will never happen.
No.
Who'd they beat in the regional?
So they played LSU first, lost, got in the losers bracket, and then they beat Dallas Baptist.
That's it.
And another team made it all the way back to the regional championship in the losers bracket.
Which is the hardest thing to do.
First game of that, they beat LSU.
Insane.
Crazy. I think there's a stat. There was, correct me if I'm wrong, 13 SEC teams made the field, 64 teams, and only 4 emerge from this regional weekend. 4.
Yeah, 4. And then how about Murray State?
Yeah.
The Murray State Racers, who's ever heard of them? And they took down Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, that's right.
Who was considered to be a pretty heavy favorite. Just kicked their butts. And then who took down Florida?
Oh.
Florida
went down.
And Florida was another heavyweight that they thought could make some noise and make it to Omaha.
Well, they had gotten hot. They got
talked
real
about
hot. It. And East Carolina, the Pirates.
Again, you'll just never see that in football. You'll see one game in football.
And it wasn't like a one-run game. It says right here they beat them 11-4.
That's mind-blowing.
Well, like I was saying, you see it a little bit in basketball, like in the tournament. You might see there's one team, a Cinderella team, gets hot and they make a decent run. The talent prevails.
Yeah, I mean, out of 64 teams, you might have one Cinderella, and in the first round, you might have
a couple upsets,
3 or 4 upsets.
Yeah,
how many you'll never see in basketball that many number one hosting seeds go down.
Baseball or football, you mean?
in basketball.
Oh yeah, basketball.
Yeah, even basketball,
That's
you're
true.
not going to see the number one seeds occasionally get taken down, but they generally make it. In baseball this year, it was amazing. It was so amazing to watch.
Yeah.
But we're fired up to watch the hated Vols come to town.
The Hogs made it through their regional. I would say pretty easy, and
Yeah, no stress.
we got matched up with the Tennessee regional. So Tennessee won their regional, we won our regional. Hogs and Tennessee match up for a super regional in Fayetteville. By the time this comes out, it'll be over, and the Hogs, mark the tape, will be headed to Omaha.
Absolutely. Please. And we will be there Saturday.
We're going to go up Saturday. Hopefully it won't rain us out.
I got my Trojan hat. Got a
Viking hat.
Not a Viking like the football team, but like a Viking like from the Middle Ages.
Like the horns. Like
it's got horns on it. I'm painting the horns red. I'm painting the main part of the helmet white. It's going to be savage. That's what you got to do when you go to the hog pen. You can't go out there and be a tea sipper. Eric and I went to the game, one of the regional games against Creighton.
I'm still mad about it.
You were on a date with your wife, which is way more important. Okay, she's listening. No, I'm just kidding. And I sat with the tea sippers. We got some decent price tickets, and I sat in a box. I sat in a chair with people on both sides of me, and it felt like, the view was killer right outside of first base.
They're like 10 rows up, huh?
Yeah, but it felt like I was in an MRI tube. It was like, it's just, I'm too tall for it.
Yeah, you're a big guy. You're a tall guy.
Yeah, bring me the freedom of the hog pen. You can run around, walk around, put your lawn chair out.
You got space to stretch out and move. And
if you want to go to the bathroom, anything, you got to get 47 people to stand up.
I say that. It's probably going to be pretty packed in there Saturday.
They're going to be loud. Like one time I did my Viking call in the tea sipping section, and this like 5-year-old kid in front of me, I think it terrorized him. Because he turned around and then he moved chairs over by his mom, and his mom was caressing him the rest of the night. I think I scared him.
So the hog pen is like a general admission area at Baumgartner Stadium.
It's for the peasants.
For the peasants. We went and sat in the hog pen when we played Tennessee in the season.
Yeah.
And thus a new hog pen creature was born.
The Viking.
Mike the Viking.
With the Viking roar. It's going to be great. We're going to start a new tradition. But, yeah, there's for those who haven't been, there's live goats and chickens and wild pigs running around out there. It's truly peasant land.
They have barbecue grills.
No, there's no live animals.
They do a bark in the park there a couple times a year, like on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You should take my dogs are too big. You could take Boomer and
Boomer,
Lowly.
Man. Hey, and you can bring your own drinks instead of paying $477 in gold coins for each drink. Anything at that park.
Snacks, cookies, whatever you want to bring.
Anything you want to bring. So it's a lot of fun.
They have those park style grills. You could fire up the grill if you wanted to. People do that.
It's turned into a great tradition, and that's what makes baseball, especially this time of year, so fun, man.
What's your give us your prediction?
We're gonna win the first two and be done.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the Tennessee crybabies. They got a pitcher who's arrogant, and he's like that team when they're winning. He's an arrogant. Put in your adjective. He's awful. And when he's losing, like he was last time he came to Fayetteville, he's got a little poo-poo pouty lip.
That's what Bubba calls the old poo-poo lip.
He got poo-poo lip. He was in a bad mood. But Tennessee's that typical, turdy team that when they win, they're in your face, and when they lose, they're just quiet.
They take after their coach very well.
Yeah.
Just like the Hogs take after our coach. We are pretty even keel.
Respects the game.
We celebrate, and everybody celebrates
with respect,
and you should. I think but we don't. Nobody comes out of our dugout.
Well, when
we hit a home run, like we if there's whoever's on deck, the bat boy and a couple others, they bump heads and they go in the dugout. And they may celebrate hard in the dugout, which is fine. But nobody's coming out doing the huddle up, going. Doing all that.
So for the listeners who don't know, Tennessee, to give you an example of their antics, they hit a home run against Vanderbilt. And when they hit the home run, he was running to first base, jumping up and down, talking trash to the Vanderbilt dugout. Their whole
pointing
dugout.
At them
and then he pointed and talked trash to every position player along the way, and then he gets home, stomps on home plate. I mean, just stuff you don't do in baseball.
Yeah. They also do. I can't believe he hit a home run after this, but there was one of their best hitters. He was up to bat. It was like a 2-0 count or something. He stops, does a timeout, steps away, goes over to a fan and gets him hyped up, comes back, and then like he hits a home run, which is great, but like you don't have to stop play and go get your fans fired up and then come back.
Well, our last game against them, we were winning most of the games, so one of their tactics is stalling. They would do 1,000 throwovers to first base. They kept stepping out of the box, trying to throw out the pitcher's rhythm.
Arguing pitches.
Was it a 4.5-hour game?
Yep.
Insane.
And that should never happen in a world of baseball where you have a pitch clock and
Thank
all that
you.
stuff, dude. It should never happen.
Right.
And I'm sure this weekend will be a little spicy. Winner moves on to Omaha, and it should be a wild series, a fun game. We're at Saturday. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait, man.
Let's go.
Ready, let's go.
Dude, I'm like burping up like we just had Buffalo Wild Wings. And
yeah, I feel like a disgusting pig, but
we ate way too much.
But he did give me, if you haven't had the tots with buffalo sauce on them and a little bit of chicken.
Yeah, buffalo chicken tots, shredded chicken.
Let me tell you, man, that was next
like
level.
Pickled peppers and stuff.
Now their chicken strips taste like they come from Sonic, but or a Great Value bag at Walmart.
Yeah.
But the tots were the bomb. So yeah, we feel kind of gross and thirsty right now.
Hence, Mike's got two
waters.
waters.
Something we didn't cover a while back, local deal, is that remember the tax Rowdy came on and talked about?
Yes.
They
were
going
jail.
To get a new jail. Man, the Pope County voters said, no, sir.
Is that your leg?
Yeah, so I was like, okay, what are we doing? and then out of every school had like a millage rate increase or something on the ballot. All but 2 were defeated. And it's like in the Trump era, I guess, man, people are just like, say no to taxes. But I guess.
I think if we wouldn't have been the last 4 years what they were, like people are so over spending any extra money right now.
That, and I think when you put, you have an election and there's nothing but tax increases on it, that just doesn't help. You want Russellville's tax for the city of Russellville for capital improvement and their police and stuff, that passed. But I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping that they would get that passed because we need it. All they're going to have to do, they did some town halls and stuff, but it's like everything. They haven't asked for anything in so long, so of course they're told no.
Yeah.
And
I think they'll run it again.
You'll run it again. You do more PR. And you kind of got to loosen up. You got to loosen up the dirt, get people used to the idea. Because people here are spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to Houston, you get, the state mandates or limits the amount that they can increase your property taxes every year. I think it's 10%.
Wow.
And they hit it every year. And down there, homes cost a lot more. So, if you're talking about, $300,000 or $400,000 home, and your property taxes go up by 10%. Your payment has just taken a jump.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah, and in Pope County, if I have my information right, they have never increased the property tax here.
I don't think so. Not to my knowledge. Not since I've owned a home.
Yeah, so
that's 8 years.
And then in Houston, the value of homes is constantly going up.
Yeah.
And so then the county comes in and says, well, hey, your house was worth more than it was last year. We're going to raise your taxes. So hopefully they loosened up the dirt a little bit, and we'll get that going maybe next time.
That'll be big. Like it's time for a new jail in Pope County. It's long.
I left 30
time.
years ago, and it's the same jail, and the population's like doubled.
Yeah, it's not the best. We need one pretty bad.
No.
The big beautiful bill passed as well. Is that right?
I believe it did, and it's caused Elon and.
Think that's real?
Did you? Yeah, I do. I've been reading the tweets. It's real. But did you think that they would stay together? What was your?
No, honestly, I didn't think.
I didn't.
From the beginning, I was like, how long is this really gonna last?
Yeah, it's not going to last because you can't have two bulldogs trying to
No.
run the show.
It was genius in the election and doing all that and doing what he did with Doge and all whatever
Doge
the
money saving.
yeah
deal.
doing all that, and I guess Elon's point now is like, well, we saved all that money just to spend all this money,
And he's not wrong.
right?
But the problem is with our current political system, you're having to satisfy 200, 300 plus in the House.
Yeah,
You're having to get through 60 senators. It's not just Trump. It's you add that all up. You're trying to satisfy like 300 people to get a bill passed. And if you actually presented the bill that Elon wants, it would just
it's
never
dead in the water.
it wouldn't even. That's just the way the world works.
Yeah.
And so they're both right.
Yeah.
But I figured it wouldn't last, and I still
But
love
ultimately,
them
me too. And Trump's gonna be ultimately he's gonna be.
both. I mean, at the end of the day, he's the commander in chief. He's the boss
Yeah,
man.
that's
Just
what-
like when
yeah.
you're at work, and chief does something you don't like, you don't go out on your own and start running and getting on Twitter and trashing him. At the end of the day, he's a boss.
Elon's not the. Hence why he owns his own stuff, but he's not the type to probably work for the man. You know what I mean?
No, he's not used to having to really give in to anybody.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll get done with their spat and just move on for the good of the country.
It's big for especially my wife in the hair industry doing. She gets a lot of tips and stuff, so help her out. My daughter's a waitress, so
Yeah, we went through
So-
all that stuff in one of
Yeah.
those episodes, and there's a lot of goodies coming in
yep,
for us.
big time.
So I'm digging that. Got Jake moved up to Fayetteville. Had to buy him a new car because his Ford Edge was filled with electrical problems.
And Jake is going to be at the game with us Saturday.
He is.
How long has it been since he's been to a baseball game
His last game was a regional.
or a Hog game in general? Any sport.
So the last one was a regional that would have been 5 years ago.
Wow, is that 18? No, 2019.
Yep, that's
19.
it.
Wow.
That's how long it's been. So he's getting settled in his place. He's blown away with how nice Rogers is and all the parks and coffee shops and stuff. It's beautiful up there.
Dude, like where we live, everything's pretty rural and all that. It's beautiful where we live.
Sure.
But you top the hill, get into Fayetteville.
Yeah.
It's like you enter a different world or a different state almost. Like
Yeah.
it's completely booming up there,
It's
man.
booming, and what I like is when you get up around Rogers and up north of Fayetteville a little
Mhm.
bit, all the shopping and restaurants and concert venues, everything is beautiful up there. So
He was walking to a coffee shop tonight.
Yeah.
Like, he's in walking distance from a lot of stuff.
he's gonna go check out the Bentonville Town Square tomorrow.
That'll be fun.
See the old Walmart museum. So it's cool getting him up there.
I like what you told him today. He's like, not upset, but he's bummed out. He can't start work for a couple weeks, and you're like,
He was
dude,
trying-
just chill out.
He was trying to start early, and HR said, "Dude, you're already on the books for this day.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, once you start working, you won't stop for like 40 years. So enjoy.
Yeah, give me 2 weeks off.
Yeah, take the extra week off there, Spanky.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
So that's cool. Getting him all going up there. It was easy to move him because he didn't have too much stuff. Gracie's at a camp down in Camp Blessing for special needs kids. Goes every year. It's pretty amazing. And every one of the camp counselors are nursing students from UTMB.
That's cool.
So she's down in Texas. We're missing her. Monica's staying about 10 minutes from Gracie just in case she needs
Been
anything.
batching it all week.
Yeah, she's at an Airbnb and staying in one of those where like you don't set the AC, it's set like in the hallway, and there's like 3 different guests staying in different rooms.
It's like a big house.
Yeah, it's a big house, and they fix you breakfast in the morning. And Monica went down today, and there was a gay couple down there enjoying like a 7-course breakfast. So I was like, yep, I couldn't do it. I'd run for the hills.
Did she know this going into
So
the Airbnb?
we talked about it. It was kind of vague. Like you kind of got the impression it was more private, and then when she got there,
Right.
she's like, "All right, this is kind of like the Twilight Zone, but I'm gonna make it work."
What about the guy with one arm like cleaning the pool and
Yeah,
stuff?
she's got like the old man was cleaning the pool with he's got one arm.
Like a scary movie or something.
Yeah, and there's different people in there, and I'm just I couldn't do it, man. Sorry.
Speaking of, this is not as drastic as this experience, but we stayed in outside of Jasper last weekend for our anniversary, and 14 years last Monday.
Congratulations.
So, and we get Carrie books the deal, and we get there. And it's kind of stuffy in the place. It's like they call it the bunkhouse, so it's like there's a little living room, a small kitchen, a full bathroom, and then this ladder, and there's a loft, and that's where the bed, and there's a dresser up there, and all this, porch and all that. It's kind of stuffy in there, and I go to this little box on the wall, and it looks like a little air conditioner. So I'm like, man, I need to turn this on. I'm trying to figure it out. I turn it on, and it's saying it's 78 in there. I was like, man, it's kind of warm, so I start turning
Yeah.
it down, and it was like blowing heat, hot heat. I was like, man, get this thing off heat. It was a heater,
Oh no.
and there was no AC.
How did you survive?
Luckily, it was last weekend. It wasn't bad at all.
You had no AC.
No AC.
Bro, was that in the description?
It was not in the description. Well, so my point is, when you go to an Airbnb out there like that, make sure you look in the amenities because
You can't assume.
Carrie's just like, I just assumed.
I mean, it is 2025, right?
Yeah, like a window unit or something, So
right.
we pulled it up on our phone, and there's nothing anywhere saying, like, if that was mine, I'd be like, just want to let y'all know there's no AC. But the only place there's just under the amenities, it has like kitchen and everything in the kitchen.
So imagine this weekend they're sitting in this. I mean, we got Houston humidity going on
they're
right
done.
now. Be a swamp fest in there.
So under the heating and cooling part, it just says heating.
Well,
No cooling.
Another thing that they do now that kind of aggravates me on we stayed at Airbnb and for Jake's graduation on Lake Hamilton.
Yeah.
And they put those electronic thermostats in, and so like I'm ready to put the AC on 68 for bed. No, sir, you're limited to 72. And I'm like, I'm renting this place. What are you gonna do? Save $10, $5 for me? 2 nights.
I'll pay the extra $5.
Gosh, man.
They did. They had so we opened the book to try to figure out what So they had a big fan mounted remote control isolated, and they said open all the windows. They had all the windows open, of course. We turned the fan on. That really helped. And when the sun went down, it was nice in there. Like overnight, it actually got cool because it was nice.
Yeah,
last
it
weekend.
wasn't humid either.
And they had a fan upstairs. But I was like, Kira's like, I don't know how you're gonna. Cause I like to sleep.
cold.
I like it cold when I
Me
sleep.
too, man.
But it was good. But I would. It's one of those places like I would stay again in the winter.
Yeah.
Or like in the fall or early spring, but not in the.
So
If somebody gets up there this weekend and doesn't know that,
yeah,
I feel for them.
They're gonna have a disastrous vacation.
Harry was ready to go write him a bad review.
Yeah.
But then we saw the lady outside. They have a barn dominium on the property. She's walking on these 2 goats, little mini goats. They come up, we feed them. Their names are Frodo and Bilbo.
That's awesome.
Off Lord of the Rings, which is kind of cool because that was Josh's one of his favorite movies, and they were rescue goats. And
they have them? I didn't know they had rescue goats.
I didn't either.
Apparently, I'm have to. If Chat GTP was with us, we could have him look it up.
Eric GTP.
Yeah.
But she said they've been together since they were babies, and if you separate one of them, one will cry. The other one will cry like a baby.
Oh, I gotta look. I gotta find me a rescue goat, bro.
And they had rabbits and stuff. And then when we got done with that, Carrie was like, "Okay, she's nice. I can't leave."
Right.
But it was a great experience.
Y'all didn't get in the. Why didn't y'all go canoeing? Did y'all go canoe?
No. I got that memorial tattoo of Josh.
Oh, that's right.
So I got scared. I didn't want to tip
that's right. You didn't want to
water.
get the smart move. Smart move there.
Yeah. I had a waterproof bandage on it, but still, I was like,
Yeah.
man,
I mean, the water was moving good, but still.
yeah.
You'd be that one guy, all of a sudden your calf's being eaten with flesh-eating
We
bacteria.
went down to the Buffalo that first day. We're fishing, and she was just sitting in her chair reading and stuff. And there was people getting in the water at the spot, and the rapids. There was pretty good rapids right on down, and we saw several people thump over. And I was like, nah.
I saw a deal on one of the canoe rental places. They had like a pile of canoes people had lost. I guess fall out of the thing,
Yeah.
then their canoe takes off down. They had like 8 canoes they didn't know who they belonged to.
Another thing, this is a get off my yard right here. So I'm calling. So we have our own kayaks, and I was like, so all you have to do is, if you don't go with the like normally, like we went with our couple, Luke and Hannah, with Luke on the podcast. We'll go and like we'll take his truck to the end where we're getting out. We'll put all the kayaks in my truck, take them to the beginning, and then we float down. We get in his truck, and then we go back and get my truck. No need for a shuttle. But they have them now where you can, if places that rent kayaks and canoes, you can have them just move your vehicle for you. Guess how much that costs?
So I did it on our cheap honeymoon some 30 years ago. Probably $70.
It would try $90
$90
now. I was like,
to drive a truck by road 3 miles
maybe.
and like 8 miles by canoe, but like 3 miles
Yes,
by road.
yes. I'm like, I was thinking like 40 or 50.
Yeah, 90. Yeah,
That's where they get you though, because if you rent the boat from them, like shuttle's included, or it's not,
right.
half the price. So
Yeah, they're
that
making that
perturbed
money
me a little bit,
Hey,
man.
man, and they work from sun up to sundown, just raking it in,
do.
man.
And I even that was the one closest to us, and I called a couple more, and they were all within a few dollars. So
Yeah. Well, it's becoming so popular, man, with all
Yeah.
this advertisement. Our little secret places in Arkansas are no longer
they're
secret.
hard to. These ones, especially Pettigene, these local mountains and stuff,
Yeah,
they
it's
get
terrible.
overrun in the
They're
summer.
ruining it. All the Texas people are ruining it.
So, like, what happened this week with all these? Like, it was like a movie, man. Like
Oh man, that's so cool.
like Ukraine sneaking in drones in these like big wooden things.
So this was, if you're a military guy and you love military history, so if you don't, just fast forward.
It's like a Trojan horse, dude.
Listen, this thing it was strategic. It's almost like they call it like a Pearl Harbor of modern warfare, because what happened to Russia can happen to us. But it's like straight out of a Tom Clancy movie. So
Yeah.
they hired these Russian truck drivers, and they put
So
these
Ukraine hired
Russian
Russian
truck
drivers.
and they had those mini houses.
Yeah.
They look like a shipping container, but they got windows on the front, and they call them mini homes. And what they did is they took these mini homes and put a false ceiling in all of them. I think they launched, golly, well over 100 drones. And they had the drones all in there. And so then they would call and say, have the truck, hey, stop here. And when the truck stops,
Yeah.
the roof pops off. And there's
So
video.
does it automatically pop off?
Yeah, automatically popped off. And there's video Russians were taking of these drones, just like not much bigger than what we use, like a DJI drone.
Yeah.
Takes off, heads toward its target, and so these things are happening. Like, the furthest one that they hit was up close to the Arctic Circle up by Finland.
Okay, that's way up there.
Way up there. I mean, the strategic base way up there. And what they did is they went to all of Russia's strategic, like their nuclear bombers.
Mm-hmm.
So Russia has, they don't have a big bomber fleet like we don't. We only have like 95 true bombers. Russia right now has 30 to 35 of these prop jobs and then 47 of these jet jobs, right? And they went in and destroyed. Now they're still reviewing satellite, but so far they've destroyed 10 of those bombers, and some of them are already loaded with cruise missiles, ready to strike Ukraine that night.
Wow.
And so people are like, "Oh, well, that's just 10 bombers, no big deal." Well, people don't understand. Like in the United States, if you took out 10 of our bombers, you got to think if we have 95 bombers,
Mm.
you only really have about 40 to 50 that are active at any time because the other 40 are going through maintenance, depot maintenance. They're offline because they're
Mhm.
broken. You take out 10, and it's huge because they're not producing these bombers anymore. So
Right.
when you lose 10, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so it was a huge surprise hit. And if you catch some of these videos on Twitter, it's mind blowing because you get this first person view, and they're flying over these strategic bombers and just unopposed. Like there's nobody shooting at them. The radar can't pick it up because it's too small.
Right.
And then you see them go down, and boom, they blow up. I mean, and having worked on bases right now, and I know from reading, you could do that to the United States Air Force
Right.
all day.
Easy.
All of our AWACS are located in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
That's our radar control. That's basically when you have a big air fight, they're the one with the big radar dome controlling the fight. And I think right now we have I think we're down to like 18. You just go to Oklahoma City, park out at the mall, and do that.
Easy.
Right now, there's no defense. Like
Right.
even security forces, I mean, if they were just to give us shotguns,
Mm.
you could at least maybe save one or two.
Right.
But all of the United States, all of our aircraft are just as exposed as Russia's are.
This says Router says that 41 planes were damaged and more than half are unrepairable.
Think about that, man. And they took out, so when I said AWACS, that big radar plane,
Yeah.
Russia only has like 8 of those, and they took out 2 of them. The information's still coming in to be verified. But in some of the videos, you'll see tires. You're like, why did the Russians line their wings with tires?
Right.
Like, that makes no sense. Well, when I got to reading about it, a lot of the targeting systems that they use artificial intelligence, where basically the targeting system is looking for a specific shape of an aircraft.
Right.
And so when it's flying and it sees something and it fits that shape, then it will go target it. So Russia was trying to throw that off by putting all these circles all over the wings, trying to disrupt that. I don't think it worked because the only way you could truly mess it up is they'd have to be hanging off the ends of the wings because that would change the dimensions of the plane. Yeah. And all of our ship missiles, we have ship missiles. You can send them up, put them in an area, and say, when you see a ship that looks like this, hit it.
Right.
And so you'll see them painting false ends, on the ship, trying to confuse the tracking system. So a lot of major tech going on. And
so is this like? I mean, this almost sounds like this is almost. I mean, we've already had so many major like developments and innovations in drone warfare since this war started, and this is almost like another level in it. Like
really
take it to the next level. Like it's like Trojan horse type stuff.
It really is. And the thing that's so amazing about drones is it's such a cheap piece of machinery, and you're blowing up multi-million-dollar aircraft, and then you're using multi-million-dollar missiles to take out. They're producing these things. They might be $500 a piece, $1,000, maybe
for the explosive and the drone.
Yeah, and then the more elaborate ones, more. But I mean, our ships depleted their standard missiles defending against Houthi drones coming in, cheap drones. And junk.
Yeah.
And these things were made to take down ballistic missiles in space coming down to blow up a ship.
We got to waste them on a $500 drone.
Yeah, and so
that's insane.
You can't afford it, and then you can't replenish your magazine because once you shoot all your bullets, your ship is a sitting duck.
Especially though, like you can't just go reload
No.
more of those missiles.
No, you got to have this hunk of junk oiler come up and trail in your fleet to come replenish you. But they're working on trying to do some rapid replenishments at sea, they're trying to come up with a solution to this expending all your defense missiles on garbage.
Yeah. So what did this do? Did this escalate this situation even more?
So if you follow the people who don't want us helping Ukraine. They would say, yes, we're on the verge of nuclear war with Russia. And I think that's all exaggerated because at the end of the day, Russia's the one who went into Ukraine.
Yeah.
They could always leave if they don't like it.
Yeah.
They're blowing up Ukrainian cities every day. And I love that right before one of the drones blew up, you could literally see the cruise missile already attached for the nighttime strikes against Ukraine. And they
Wow.
blew that bomber up. It's a legitimate target. So people can say what they want, but I mean, they got to be able to defend themselves.
Right. No doubt.
I don't think it's as bombastic as everybody says. I mean, could they drop a tactical nuke? They could, but I don't know if that really gains them anything.
Yeah.
You know? But man, the speed of warfare today and the technology and AI is so fast that the ability
Like the speed of battle now
incredible.
is insane.
Hey,
we talked about it at dinner. Go ahead.
how about the Ukraine it's probably psyops, but it's still way cool. It's not tactically, it doesn't matter tactically.
Right.
But they have a picture of a drone that they took and attached an
seen
axe
that.
to. So
Yeah.
it's got an axe on it. Can you imagine? Like, you'd almost rather just blow up. You've got this racing drone that can outrun you, coming at you with an axe. I'm sorry, but that's
And you can't get away from it.
that's out of a movie, man. Because these are drones that are racing drones.
Yeah.
They're fast.
Like the FPV or whatever.
Yeah, they're fast. They
Yeah.
can maneuver.
Well, like this whole attack and the hiding the drones and all that. It's something like Mission Impossible stuff.
It's fascinating, man.
know,
That's a straight old school Tom Clancy book. Surprise attack, brilliant.
Yeah.
I saw a video today where they were testing out a drone swarm coming out of a forest, and they showed them all come up. And this is a dense forest, and using AI, the entire drone swarm maneuvered through the trees, under branches, without losing a single one, and emerged into a field without hitting a single tree. I could try to fly mine. I'd run into a tree.
Yeah. Me too.
I mean, gosh.
I think when John was on the Isle of Patmos and he was writing Revelation and seeing all this stuff, man, the Bible says he saw swarms of hornets or whatever.
Let's see while I opine on that. Look that up. Let's get the exact words, because you had mentioned that when we started this, I don't know, a year ago or so, and I thought it had significance then. But as I've begun to see the way drone warfare and technology is evolving, that could literally, and you think 15 years ago, you're like, why would hornets or whatever this swarm is, you can't imagine it. But now if you've ever heard a drone swarm, it's the most terrifying thing you could ever think of. This high-pitched whining sound.
This is find the
So did he see and hear something when he described that's made no sense, and now all of a sudden with drones, what wasn't possible 20 years ago is now possible? Because drones aren't going anywhere. So when the end of the world decides to come, drones are only going to be better. They're
100%.
They're not going to get worse.
No. This says, where's Eric when you need him?
Yeah.
So this says, in the book of Revelation, Apostle John doesn't describe seeing a swarm of hornets specifically, but rather a terrifying swarm of creatures described as locusts, which emerged from the bottomless pit. And
can't you
they
see it?
Describe as vivid detail, appearing like horses prepared for battle. They have tails that sting like scorpions.
Again, he has no idea what he's seeing.
No.
And we don't know what drones are going to look like in the future. Right now, they all look like quadcopters.
Yeah.
Okay, but the bigger drones could look like a scorpion with a tail that stings. It could have a longer tail on it.
It says they had like faces of humans, which could mean like a human could be flying this thing from behind the scenes.
You don't know. I mean, it's
Having tails and stings like scorpions, but also like horses with crowns, human faces, and hair.
just never know, man. Maybe he's
But
off.
like that swarm of drones that went through that forest. If you lived that long ago, it would sound just like a flying wasp, hornet,
and
something.
we don't know what they're going to look like in the future, because I'm sure right now you got to remember. So this technology breakout we're seeing right now, if we go back to flight, we're like in the biplane era of drones. Look at the jets we have today, and then go back to when they were biplanes in World War I. These garbage planes. That's where we're at on drones.
Yeah.
The evolutions
fact,
we
dude.
have coming forward in the future are going to blow your mind. And there's no telling what they'll look like. He might have nailed it.
It's really true, dude.
It may look like a person because it might have dual sensors on the front that look like eyes. Could be infrared sensors, It could have what looks like a mouth. It could have a minigun on it.
Dude, if you have my little mini DJI in the sky,
It looks like it's got eyes.
If you look at it through the front, it's got those two circles.
Yep.
And then it's got a green, a LED light underneath that'll flash however you want it to flash.
Yeah, and it's got the camera at the bottom that would be like
Wicked
the mouth.
looking, dude. Yeah.
That's looking around, perfectly stabilized. So when you first hear it, you're like, there's no way. But if you just step back and think about, and people haven't, the average citizen thinks all drones are like quadcopters. They're not. They've got all shapes and sizes.
This says, while some modern interpretations suggest that these locusts could be symbolic of present-day technology like helicopters or even drones, the description in Revelation 9 primarily draws upon existing symbols and imagery of the Old Testament, such as locusts, plagues, and warfare. Therefore, while the idea of a swarm of drones might invoke some of the characteristics described, like a destructive swarm or the sound of their wings.
Ooh, that's a drone.
Dude, it's a drone,
That's
dude.
a drone, man.
I believe it, man.
Because,
And this stuff, like you said, is advancing at rapid pace, dude.
Stupid pace, man.
It is wild, dude.
Yeah, it's scary. I tell you what, the days of being secure behind enemy lines are over.
Over, dude.
You're sitting out there chilling, and a drone comes and hits you in the head with an axe.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a wicked world out there, man.
Well, I know, like, I read there's been a lot of, aside from that, more wicked things going on. Is like all these persecution of these Christians over in Africa, specifically in Nigeria, and I read a deal earlier. So you don't hear this on mainstream news.
Nope.
I didn't know it even until I looked. I mean, I've heard of bits and pieces of it, but I didn't know it until I started looking it up.
No, but if one Christian kills a Muslim in Antarctica, it would be on 24 hours a day.
Oh, they'd hang them.
But it'd be on the news constantly.
Yes.
But you can smoke a Christian and it won't even register.
Well, we live in, like, we don't know. I don't even know what that persecution even, like, we live in this country where we're still free to worship and free to have a Bible and all this stuff. Like, I can't imagine persecution like these other countries can. And apparently in 2025, World Watch List said Nigeria accounted for 69% of the 4,476 Christians killed for their faith worldwide. 4,476.
Now, does it say that the person killing the Christians over there are, what are they? Are they Buddhist? Are they?
This says Fulani herdsmen. So it's,
I'm sure.
I don't even know what that, some kind of group of terrorists.
Well, I would say 90% of all Christian deaths in the world outside the United States are generally the result of a Muslim
Yes.
killing them because of their faith.
Yes.
That's just
they're
the
attacking
facts.
these Christian communities over there.
Yes.
And it says in between 19 and 23, 16,000 Christians were killed in Nigeria.
Yeah. And you know how this goes down, right? They don't just come in and kill you. They come in and ask you.
Oh, they torture you.
When they ask you who's your God,
Yes.
and you have a moment, you can say Muhammad or Allah, or you can say Jesus.
Dude.
And when you say Jesus, it's over.
You're with Jesus right then.
Yeah.
And like that's what like I hope and pray like it never gets to that point in our country. But if it did, man, you better be ready. Like
The one thing I love about this country, if that started happening, you would see militia groups called the Templar Knights.
yeah,
Brother,
that's a fact.
It wouldn't last, man. You would have it would get nasty quick, and we would not be in the United States. We would not be defenseless.
No,
there'd be some people getting smacked.
Oh, of course. But just go with me for a second.
Sure.
Though. If somebody came to your house,
we're in Africa. We went and lived in a Christian community there.
Yes.
We're missionaries there. Let's go.
And somebody
knock.
Like if I was over there and somebody had a blade to my wife and daughter's neck and was like, "I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill them." Do y'all believe in Jesus or not? That's tough, dude.
That's real tough. That's real tough.
I mean, that's where you got to be though. You got to be in a mindset like that. You're all in, like, and you know where you're going and all that. You know.
Yeah.
Easy, dude.
And it's sad that it has to be this way. I actually, when Jake was younger, he had a Bible that said, the cover said something like it was banned in 125 countries.
The Bible.
Yeah. So I looked up on ChatGTP, and I don't know if it's being accurate here, but I asked the question, how many countries have any restriction on the Bible? And it says there are approximately 50 countries where the Bible is not fully free, and that it can be from severe restrictions to moderate to mild, which, and what they call mild restriction, and this is what the ChatGTP says, Bibles are legal, but proselytizing or public distribution is restricted. So it's against the law.
Yeah.
To ask people, hey, have you know about Jesus?
I know where
they're calling that mild. It says a lot when you're so scared of this thing called the Bible that you have to outlaw it. And of course, that very country that we're going to be fighting in the next 30 years, that have the China, of course, is a major restrictor of the Bible. But I mean, you can just go through here. It says Bibles where it's severely restricted. Let's see, North Korea, Saudi Arabia, the Maldives, Somalia, Afghanistan, Libya, Iran, Yemen.
Wow.
It's a Muslim area. Brunei, Turkmenistan. And then as you go down, Turkey, Algeria. I mean, again, these are predominantly Muslim countries.
Yes. We're so conditioned here to, everything's comfortable, and we don't, when you think about that stuff, it's just, it's easy to get numb to it, like that. Oh, surely that's not really happening, but it really is happening.
It really is, and we're fat and happy here in the United States.
Really are.
We take it for granted, and it's just it to me, like, everybody has those moments of doubts, and one of the things I like to do is just knowing the fact that there's 50 countries who ban the Bible, having read it, like, what are you scared of? It just it confirms to me that it's right.
That's exactly,
because totalitarian countries are scared of it.
Yeah.
Because the Bible offers freedom.
Yep.
And that is a threat to their government.
Well, I mean, the word of God is the living word of God. It's alive, and it's what changes people, and it's freedom, like you said, and people like I guess just like you said, they're scared of it.
Well, and because in their country, they are the deity.
Right.
They are the God.
Right. That's
They have their giant, go to China. You got pictures of the president all over the place, and they can't allow someone else to be more
That's
important
good.
than the state.
Yeah, I never thought about it like
So
that.
it just shows how small they are. Shows how weak they
It
are,
really is.
and it won't stand up to the test of time. It won't.
No.
It'll crumble.
So like our goal here was just, in this chaos world that we're living in, like John 16:33 says, I have told you this, that you may have peace in me here on earth. You will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So we should, all this persecution, these wars and stuff, like, we should pray for these countries. The persecution should well up like a righteous anger in you to seek after prayer for that and to
and for their safety, man.
yeah.
Talking about, let's go to a quick personal struggle. Remember a few weeks ago when I talked about how I was really deep into the Bible and I was feeling that peace that was amazing, right? Yeah. And then just through the process of life, some, things happened and your life gets busy and my Bible reading and stuff has fallen on its face.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went from like on top of the hill, not doing anything bad. I'm just not reading. So I'd say in like the past 2 or 3 weeks, I'm surviving on mic power.
Right.
Not getting that true peace. My sleep's been a little bit more disturbed. And
isn't that funny?
Isn't it? It's just, and I know we've talked about it before, but you can just tell yourself, like I was on top of the mountain in my Bible study and where my heart was. And then all of a sudden you get into the routine of life and you forget. And then as I picked up this week to try to read the Bible, and I'm being honest here.
Yeah.
It was painful. Like my heart was so hard that it was so drastically different from being on top of the mountain.
Oh yeah.
A month ago to this hardened heart. The words were, and so I just think back to, we've all done this.
Oh yeah.
And man, it's hard you got to break through that hardness of your heart. Yeah. And again, kind of like, you got to begin to, even though it's hard and even though you don't feel the Holy Spirit at that point maybe, but you got to start breaking up that tough dirt.
Yep.
You got to start plowing.
Like our pastor says, your faith has no feelings. Like,
no.
You don't feel like reading it sometimes.
Yeah.
But like you said, push through
you
anyway.
You got to plow the dirt up. You got to soften it, and we got to start watering it. Then we'll get some growth going.
Yes.
But man, I just wanted to share that because I know other people go through that. But man, it happened so fast. It was like the devil heard the podcast and was like, "Oh, Mike's feeling good. He's got lots of peace, huh?" Yeah. Schmackaroony.
I think everybody goes through seasons like that. When like you're hardcore into the Word, and then
it's alive in you, man.
It is.
Like you're on fire. And then the old human behavior kicks in where you're like, you just get busy, you forget, and your heart grows cold and hard.
That's why the Bible says, Paul said we must renew our minds daily.
Daily, man. And it's just so true. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's like your daily vitamin. It's like sleep. You gotta stay in it, man. So
I know, like when for like a couple weeks after Josh passed, it was a struggle for me to read with everything going on. It was just chaos around here, which in that moment I should do the opposite.
Correct.
And run and read the Bible.
Well, and during that time even we saw God. We saw God winks. We saw evidence of Jesus in a tragedy. But then once that time of busyness and everything that went on,
yeah,
and then we kind of went back into the routine. I mean, how are you right now? I mean,
I'm not reading like I should.
How's your
absolutely not
state right now?
My reading time, I like to listen to the Bible a lot, especially like when I'm driving around at work, listening. But my thing is, I'll listen to like a preaching podcast or a Christian podcast all day long, but that doesn't supplement actually reading the Bible.
Right.
Like those things are great, And I wasn't in there, but Crystal was telling me last night that our pastor actually preached on that Wednesday night, like how important it is to read the Word on your own, like actually the Word, not listen to a preacher, not listen to a Christian podcast,
We're listening to Christian music all day.
or listen to worship music. You have to read the Word.
Yeah.
And that actually lit a fire under me to delve back into actually reading the Word again.
Yeah.
you know, so-
That's me. I'm getting back up on the horse, and because again, as we talked about before, it's the peace,
Yeah.
man. I'm and when you try to make it on your own, you just don't. I can tell because my sleep's not quite as good. I'm
Yeah.
not as much at peace. I'm a little bit more in turmoil.
I get
This, man.
I think everybody's going to go through seasons like that, and it's important to just, when you recognize it,
Acknowledge
get back
it.
on the horse, acknowledge it, and address the problem, and dig back in. And like I said, faith has no feelings, no matter how hard it might be. Crack the book, start plowing that soil again, and soften that heart back up.
Yeah. If you're out there, man, you know the struggle.
Yeah.
Just keep digging.
I think it's important too, talking about all this persecution and stuff, like to let our kids know that this stuff is real. Like it's out there. Like, we don't live in this fairy tale world. Like I think that's important for us men to do as we lead our homes, is to talk to our kids, even about the stuff that's going on, all the war and all the stuff around the world. All these you don't have to go into detail, but dumb it down for them, a little bit to where they can.
Yeah, because we're on this wonderful experiment called the United States, and it's the exception, not the norm.
That's exactly right. And I think we need to, as men, stand in prayer for this persecution. Pray for the war. Pray for these countries affected, and pray for Israel and all that. And I think that is our job as men, and we need to stand up and do that. I don't do it enough. If we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty here.
Pray for China to suddenly have a Christian revolution, so we don't have to fight them and lose, America's best young men and women in the coming conflict. But anytime you have a giant superpower that's communist and outlaws the Bible, I mean, nothing good's going to come out of it. So
No.
we like to talk about that stuff because people need to. Well, most people don't have a clue what's going on in the world, and you know what?
No.
That's great. Live in your bubble and enjoy it. But the fact is,
But God didn't call us to live in if you're doing that, you might as well not.
Yeah. I mean, how are you making the world a better place?
We talked about it a few episodes ago. Like when God is called, what God has called us to do is not supposed to be comfortable. Like,
right.
Remember talking about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
So we shouldn't be doing that. We should be in the fight, not on our couch eating bonbons.
Right. And it's
Cheetos
easy to do.
Easy to do. We all do it.
Yeah.
And we're preaching to ourselves here as well.
We are. That's what I'm doing.
100%.
I'm preaching to myself.
Yeah, we got to, and that's what this podcast is for. Even our time here together, for me and Mike, it builds us up.
Absolutely.
It helps us. We're
Like
talking to dudes.
I needed this week.
I actually heard on Undotted Life the other day, they were talking, and he was saying, we've talked about it before. He said, a lot of guys listen to podcasts like ours and others because they don't have a couple good buddies they can talk to all the time about their struggles and what they deal with in life and sports and news and geopolitics and what's going on in Ukraine. They don't have that.
Nope.
So they listen to hours of podcast.
And if all you've got is your wife while she's your best friend and she's awesome, you need a dude.
Yeah, that's vital.
You need at least a dude.
Yep.
And the more dudes you got, the better, man.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a dude, at least you can come listen to us. We'll be your dude on the.
Yeah. Or come to the garage and hang out.
Yeah, come to the garage and hang out.
That's all good. Isn't that wild that it's gonna be like we just had some technical difficulties with the computer, and it was when we started talking about our struggles. Isn't that wild how that
cut off.
devil tries to he don't want to get that out there, man.
No, you don't want it out there, man.
We're gonna get it out there
He's
though.
a hater.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Devil's a hater, man.
Thank you all for you got anything else?
I got nothing, my friend.
Thanks for listening, and I'll pray us out of here. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this podcast. I thank you for my brothers. I pray, God, for the conflicts going around the world. I pray for all this Christian persecution, Father. I pray you give people that are being persecuted in Africa, Nigeria, and all across the world, Father, the courage to stand up for your name, Father, in the face of losing their life, losing their family, Lord. Give them strength, give their family peace. And Father, I pray for all the men and everyone listening to this podcast, Father, I pray you give us peace. I pray you give us strength, Father, to continue renewing our minds every day, growing in you, Father, becoming the best versions of ourselves that we can become. And we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.